Hello friends, welcome to Selenium Framework Interview Question and Answer Part 4. In my last 3 videos, I already covered 75 set of interview question and answer which commonly asked by the interviewer to judge your knowledge on the Selenium framework concept and implementation. So in this video, I will try to cover another 25 question and answers which will specifically from the automation concept. Like in case you are working for the Selenium for the long time but sometime you forgot it, but in case if you recapture these 100 questions whatever I mean posting right in my channel, so that definitely you can most of the questions asked by the interviewer you can definitely provide your answer or solution, right? So thank you all for watching my video so far. This is Haradhan once again. In case you are new to my YouTube channel, do not forget to subscribe my channel and provide your input or suggestion. So sometimes interviewer used to ask the question whether like page object model is a framework or not, right? So you already see there are a lot of framework is there: modular framework, keyword driven, data driven, hybrid, right? BDD, TDD, all these framework. But page object model or POM is not a framework, is a design pattern which has overcome popular in Selenium test automation, right? But it is not a framework. So POM or page object model can be used in any kind of framework such as modular, data driven, keyword driven, hybrid framework. So your answer will be the page object model is a design pattern but not a framework. What are the prerequisites to start automation testing, right? So in case a project is started, you immediately can't start the automation testing, right? So you have to first see that like your prerequisite is being made. After that you will be developing your script to mesh the and you can check the post condition on the prerequisite, right? The first step is to segregate the different test cases that to be automated, followed by preparing test data as per the needs of the test cases, right? First we need to identify what are the test cases will be automating, whether it will be functional test case, regression or sanity, and in case of any data requirement is there or not, so it will prepare the data. After that we have right reusable functions need to be written which are frequently used in those test cases, right? We need to write the reusable function instead of same function where we will be writing multiple times, right? It should not be recommended. Later test script are prepared by using reusable function and apply loops, condition, and definitely we need to add assertion or verification point whenever it is necessary. Otherwise there is no point of automating only the flow, right? The main objective of automation is that we need to verify the important steps wherever required, right? So that we can check with the expected result with the actual result, and in case of any deviation we can log them as a defect in the proper defect management tool. What are the risks associated in automation testing? This is definitely, I mean, anything you are doing, anything you are taking in the market, some pros and cons will be there. Similarly, for the automation testing, definitely some risk will be there. These are the important 5 risks I have tried to predict here or written here, right? So one is that do you have the skilled resources? So that is the important aspects we need to remember, right? So the automation testing demands resources with some knowledge about programming, focus on resources, right? Identify whether the resources have proper knowledge for automation testing. Are they capable to adapt easily to new technology? These measures like are to be well assessed for building automation testing team. Suppose today you are having some automation testing team member with Java knowledge, right, and some framework knowledge, but tomorrow you need to build a framework, right, with Python knowledge and as well as with the help of kind of relevant framework, right? So definitely those associated will not be easily implemented in this project. So definitely they need to be skilled up in Python as well, right? Then and the relevant framework, then they can be deployed successfully. That is the reason that first you need to identify whether the skilled resources available. In case they want to work on the automation, so some programming knowledge they need to be learned, tool knowledge and framework knowledge they need to be learned. These are the 3 important prerequisites, right? Okay. The initial cost for automation is high. Definitely, whenever you are trying to identify the test, after the identification is done, you need to develop your script, right? The cost will be more, right? So initial cost for automation is too high for initial setup. It costs automated tool purchase, training, and maintenance of the test script. The unsatisfied customer base is high for automation testing their product. Okay, it would be ensured that the cost compensate the testing result. So unless the test your test cases, whatever you are developing, will be running multiple times, so there is no point, because initial cost will be too high. Okay, at least few times when your test cases need to be executed, so that you can compensate that particular stuff, right? If UI is not fixed, do not think about automation, right? Suppose say in case you need to automate some of the application under test, right? But the application is not stable enough, right? I mean, application UI is not fixed, there can be requirement change, so there is no point of automating, right? So prior to automation or automating the user interface, it should strongly be determined that whether the UI is changing extensively or the cost of automated scheme maintenance will be high or not, right? Make sure that application is stable enough. So that is the very important criteria before starting your automation. After identifying, after designing your framework, right? So you can't create any automated test script, because until the application is stable enough. But suppose today, right? I mean, you want to click a button or a link, but tomorrow that will be changed, right? So somewhere, so because that is not pasted, and if you click on that link, sometimes some defect can be come, right? So that like your application should be stable enough by functional testing or regression testing. After that, you can try automating. Otherwise, every test case will be fail, and you need to enhance your script again and again and again. So to automate the early development cycle, unless or otherwise in it is agile environment, would not be a good idea. It costs script maintenance cost very high. Stop automating the test which will be runs once. The complicated, very much complicated one. Okay, in case any of the test case will be used only one time or very much complicated, so there is no point of automating them, right? Ensure that certain test cases which might be running one or not included in the regression test cases. Okay, avoid automating such test module. So these are the different risks you need to remember before starting your automation script development or framework development or running the automation script. How tester build object repository in their project. So object repository is very important criteria for automation testing, because in the Selenium there is no inbuilt feature is there, whereas for EFT and inbuilt object repository feature is there. So before starting your automation testing, right, you need for each and every page you need to whatever object, right, you will be using, so you need to keeping them as identified in some object repository, right? So there is no default object repository concept in Selenium. In Selenium, tester call object as locator such as ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, right, or CSS and XPath. Object repository is a collection of objects. One of the way to create object repository is to place all the locators in a separate file, that is a property file. So you can create a property files, and we can keep all the locators. Suppose XPath equal to value. After that, with the help of file class and file input stream, we can call the property file. Then we can get all the object repository, right? The best way is to use page object model. In the page object model design pattern, each web page is represented as a class. All the objects related to a particular page of a web application are stored in a class. What are the criteria for selecting a test case for automation? So that is the important questions interviewer might ask, definitely. Before starting your automation, you first need to identify what are the test cases you will be automating, right? And then only you need to provide your thought process that it is not possible to automate every test cases, right? Every functional test case, every regression test case, right? Every smoke or sanity test cases, every build validation test case, every integration test case. So before you need to just select the test cases, so you need to apply some criteria process, right? So determine the execution frequency of the test case. Do testers run it often for very new build, right? Every new build or once with large input. Find out if automation would save time that tester can devote to exploratory testing. In case they are saving some time in terms of running them automatically, and that time they can devote in some exploratory testing or not. Is the test case critical for business, or does it cover an end-to-end scenario? Make sure analyzing the result of an automated test should not exceed the time it should take during manual execution. Otherwise, it will lose its visibility for automation. Do consider the likelihood of the test catching defect. So definitely whether those automation run or the test cases will be catching defect or not. Otherwise there is no point, right? Could it be a blocker for a major features or functionality which is critical to business? If the answer is yes, then make sure to get automated and passed in every build, right? So that are the important criteria you need to check before selecting a test case for automation. Whether it's from regression or from functional integration, that does not matter. It should be applicable for same set of suits or all the suits. What are the main stages in the automation testing life cycle, right? So I have tried to depict few of the important stages. First, we need to take a decision when to commence the automation testing. Then we need to identify a relevant automation tool and need to induct the tool, right? And then you need to give the identify resources and give the proper training to those resources, right? Then determine the scope of the automation testing, design and develop of a test suite, right? Once that everything is designed, right, definitely we will be running those test cases with the help of continuous approach, right? Either it can be on demand or nightly basis, so continuous test execution will be required. Then we need to maintain those test suite on a regular basis, so that as and when next time it will be required, we can run them, right, or either on demand or nightly basis. So if you want to run them with the help of some continuous integration, definitely no manual intervention will be required. Everything will be automated. Can manual testing be fully replaced with automation testing? So nowadays we are talking about the automation testing, right? Either it's Selenium, UFT, or different framework or kind of different language. So whether in case we are everybody is capable enough with automation testing, can manual testing can be skipped or fully replaced with the automation testing? The answer will be no. Automation testing is not a replacement for manual testing. It's just a continuation of the manual testing, because there are many situations where an automation solution cannot display the insight, understanding and experience of testers, right? Definitely some of the testings can be based on your tester domain knowledge or product knowledge, application knowledge. So sometimes maybe only we need to run one time, right? So it is not possible to recommend. Sometimes complexity will be huge, tough, right? So it will not be automated easily due to some limitation. So definitely like automation testing cannot be replacement for the manual testing. The answer will be simply no. What should be the key features of a good automation testing tool, right? So definitely whenever you are identifying any tool for your automation testing, definitely that tool should have some the key feature. Otherwise you need to integrate with some of the third party, right? The tool should be quick and easy, quick and easy test environment setup should be there for the tool. Tool should support cross-platform testing, good debugging and logging support, right? Robust objective identification, object and image testing abilities, cross-browser testing support, right? Along with the cross-platform support, database integration and validation, and should facilitate crowdsourcing, right? So in case like multiple associate or multiple tester want to use the tool concurrently, definitely tool should allow, right? So that are the important features should a good automation testing tool should have. Then only we can pick up that tool for the automation testing. Did you notice any test scenario that not to be automated in your real-time project with the help of Selenium WebDriver? Yes, there can be some test scenario which should not be automated properly. Where one is the functionality that require more user interaction. In case of particular functionality or test cases require a lot of integration testing points, so definitely we can skip those test cases. Or functionality that require dynamic test data submission. Sometimes you already see that with the static data, whatever we are passing through with the help of or external test data source, it can be Excel, CSV database, it will not allow you, right? Sometimes you need to provide every time dynamic data need to be required. So those are the test cases or test scenario definitely we should not automate, because it will take a huge time and it will be complicated as well. How user can run test case in parallel using TestNG? So TestNG framework, parallel testing or distributed testing, one of the key aspects. We can run the same set of test case in different OS combination, operating system or different browser, right? So tester can use parallel attribute in the TestNG.xml to accomplish parallel test execution in TestNG. The parallel attribute of shoot tag can accept for value. So whenever you are giving the parallel attribute, right, parallel, as well as you are giving some thread count in the test XML file, then you can also parallel equal test, class, methods or instance. If you are giving a test, so it means that all the test case inside tag of testengine.xml file will run in parallel. Whereas classes signifies that all the test case inside a Java class will run parallel. Whereas methods indicate all the method with @test annotation will execute in parallel. Whereas instance signified that test case in same instance will execute parallel, but two methods of two different instances will run in different thread, right? So you need to give parallel equal test, class, methods or instance, and you need to give some thread count, which will be definitely more than one. Otherwise there is no point of parallel distributed testing. What are the challenges user might face while automating their application, right? So definitely Selenium is an open source tool and works on browser. But nowadays your web application also getting complicated, right? Because nowadays web applications are getting built on new framework like AngularJS, Bootstrap, HTML5 and many more. So Selenium has few challenges and user can handle them easily with proper knowledge skill set, right? Following are the some of the common issues or challenges which you or me even or some other tester can face, right? And in case interviewer asks, so definitely you can let them know these are the common challenges we have we already faced or we are facing here, right? One is synchronization issue. That is the one very common issue, right? Whenever if you are scripted 100 test cases and if you want to run them, most of the time majority of the 80% 70% failure is come from the synchronization issue only, which is not a actual issue, right, or actual defect, right? But you need to figure out and you need to again rerun those test cases. So most of the time script fails because of synchronization issue, like some element is rendering after some specific time or after some event. In that cases, if we do not handle such dynamic scenario, then the script goes on in a failure state. So most of the script fail due to synchronization issue. Integrating with other tool and compatibility. Tester need to integrate their framework with Maven, Test Engine, Jenkins and other automated tools, right, which can create conflict because of the version compatibility. Right, you are using some version which may not be compatible easily with the others integration tool version. So that is another problem. Definitely you need to solve this thing. Dynamic locator or smart locator. If tester do not keep a dynamic locator for dynamic element, then the script failure chances are very high. Writing and maintaining locator can be challenging sometimes. Cross browser testing. Many times user need to run the test cases on different browser OS combination with few changes with locator, right? So that is another several challenges. Complex programming, sometiime you need to write program is a complex, right? Maybe that person or resource is not capable enough to write the complex programming, so you need to get the help from the other project, other community like that, right? Framework enhancement, sometime whatever framework you are writing today, right, you need to enhance it to give you the better output or to maybe to include some of the changes like that. Handling Windows activity, sometimes like you need to handle different Windows activity. Suppose in case of parallel testing, especially like one window will be handled by that particular same set of execution, right? And otherwise this is completed. I mean, if you are opening any window, so that window may not be working properly, so you need to handle the window activity properly, right? So these are the different challenges you already faced or might face. In case you interviewer asking any question, that you can definitely let them know these are the probability or these are the challenges you already faced while automating your project, test cases from your project. What are the advantage of hybrid automation framework? So hybrid framework is nothing but is a combination of keyword and data driven framework. So definitely it has all the advantage of keyword and data driven. That is the reason it is used mostly in the real automation project. The hybrid framework is built with several reusable module or function library that are developed with the following features in mind. Maintainability. Hybrid framework significantly reduces maintenance effort. Definitely. Reusability. It allows to reuse test case and library function. Manageability. Effective test design, execution and traceability. Accessibility. Easy to design, develop, modify and debug the test case while executing. Availability. Allow to schedule automation execution. Reliability due to advanced error handling and scenario recovery. Flexibility. Framework independent of system or environment under test. Measurability. Customizable reporting of test result, ensuring the quality output. So that are the important thing. Advantage is having the hybrid framework. That is the reason we are using. We are creating all kinds of reusable method, library functions, right? There are a lot of error handling mechanism already available in the tools, in the framework, right? It's easy to maintain the coding standard, right? And we can integrate with other kind of report like report ng, test ng, or external report in that framework, right? And definitely as we are using the framework, so definitely our overall effort, overall cost will be reduced, and we can easily maintain the overall the schedule of the testing life cycle, right? So that are the different advantages having the hybrid framework. Is it possible to perform mobile testing with Selenium? No, with Selenium only it is not possible, but using Selenium integrated tool with tools like Appium, it is possible to test mobile devices testing as well. Appium is based on Selenium, allowing tester to use the same capabilities as if they were automating a web page. Selenium with Appium can be used to automate Android, iOS and Windows Phone application, even if it is a native, hybrid or mobile web app. Okay, so with the help of Appium, you can perform the mobile testing or iOS testing, right? What is Apache Py? Okay, so Apache Py, where Py stand for obfuscations implementation, is an API that offers a collection of Java library that help us to read, write, and manipulate different Microsoft files such as Excel sheet, PowerPoint, and Word files. Apache Py provides various interface and classes that help us to work with Excel. It provides a workbook interface to maintain Excel workbook. There are certain classes that implement this interface, and then we are using those classes to create, modify, read, and write the Excel file. In case if you want to interact, especially for the data driven or keyword driven framework, right, you have to rely on your external data source, right? You'll be keeping the data in the external data source. It can be Excel, CSV, all this stuff, right? And if you want to read and write the data, then you have to use Apache Py. So this is the relevant jar file you need to install, download, and in case you are using a Java project, you need to add those library jar files in your project. In case you are using a Maven project, you need to add the Apache Py related dependency in your Maven project, so that all the relevant jar file will be added to your project. And definitely with those jar file, right, you can call the relevant interface or classes or methods, then you can read and write that data from the Excel sheet. What are the different classes and interface available in Py? So whenever you are talking about the Excel sheet, right, you can deal with any of the Excel sheet 2010 format or 2003 format, sorry, 2000, right? If you are having an Excel sheet 2003 format, right, so it will be .xlx, and if it is beyond that 2007 onward, it will be XLSX, right? So following is a list of different Java instances and classes in Apache Py for reading XLS and XLX format. Workbook, this is the interface where XSS app workbook and HSS app workbook classes implement this interface, right? So in case if you want to read anything which is stored in the .xls file, you have to rely on that HSS workbook, HSS sheet, all this stuff. So it will be starting with H. And in case it is a XLSX, so you have to rely on the X part, right? X. Okay. So XSS app workbook is a class representation of the XLS file. Similarly, HSS workbook is a class representation of the XLS file. Sheet, the XSS F sheet and HSS F sheet classes implement this interface, right? Similar way, XSS sheet means is a class representing in a sheet XLS file, whereas H will be XLS files only. Row, XSS F row and HSS F row classes implement this interface. Also in this particular interface, there will be two classes. One is for XLS, one is for XLX, right? X will be stand for XLS. Similarly, cell, right? XSF cell and HSF cell classes implement this interface. Also in the particular XSF cells will be for XLSX file. Is a class representing a cell in a row, right? And where HSF cell will be for the XLS file. So first thing is that whenever if you want to rely on a particular, if you want to read and write data, so you have to rely on that particular important classes, right? And if it is XLS file 2003 Excel file, so definitely you have to rely on the HSSF workbook, sheet and row and cell, right? In case it is a XLS, that means 2007 onward, you have to rely on the XSF workbook, XSF sheet, XSF row, XSF cell, like that, okay? How to read data from the external file source, right? In case it is a 2007 format, so you know, right, it's a XLS. So definitely these are the important steps you need to remember. First, you need to create an object orientation for the file class while you will be providing the path of the file. So that is the first step. Then you need to read the file with the help of file input stream class. You are creating an object orientation FIS where where you are passing the source file, right? Whatever file instance you have created, right? Then once you read the file with the help of file input stream, right, then you need to first read the workbook and then sheet and then data, right? So you will be first reading the workbook where with the help of XSF app workbook you are creating object for instance where you are providing the instance of the file input stream. Then once the workbook is read, right, then you need to read the sheet, because in a workbook there can be multiple sheets, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, like that. So with the help of XSF sheet class, you can create an object instance for the sheet, right? And you will be get sheet at, right? Which index it is the first or tab or second tab or third tab, like that, right? Then so once your sheet is read, right, then definitely you can directly read the data from the sheet, or sometime you can go to the row and then cell, right? but you can directly get data, I mean read the data with the help of get row, get cell and the get string cell value method, right? So first you are going to the sheet, then you are reading the row and the cell, means row and column combination, so that you are going to particular cell location, and from the cell you are reading the value, then you are kind of want to retrieve the data. That is the different way you can read the data from the external Excel file. What is the difference between get window handles and get window handle? So that is the important question, definitely interviewer can ask in case you are familiar with the window handle, so you definitely get to know, right? The get window handle is nothing but it's used to get the address of all the open browsers, and it returns a data type is as a string, set string, right? Because it is a, you can see it handles, so definitely it will be the different browsers, so definitely it will be stored in the some variable where you can store in set interface, right? Definitely type will be string. Whereas get window handle, definitely it will be single, right? It is used to get the address of the current browser only where the control is, and return type is string data type only. Just like the find element and find elements, right? So find element will be returning a multiple set of element locator, whereas find element will give you one. So get window handle is used to get the current address of the current browser, whereas get window handle is used to get the address of all open browser, and return type is straight string. How can we move the nth child element using expert? So if you are creating expert, sometime with the same tag name or the same attribute, there can be multiple elements will be there. Then how can you select a particular element with the nth element? Basically, there are two ways of navigating to the nth element using expert. One is using square bracket with index position. Suppose we will be giving as a tag as deep, then square bracket. Suppose index is 1, 2, 3, 4, so we will be giving it 2. We will find the second div element, or using the positions, right? So div position equal to 3, we will find the third div element. So that's so you can find a nth element using the expert. How can we move to the nth child element using CSS selector? So similar way, nth child n in the CSS locator, we can move to the nth child element, right? You can see div, then slash, that colon, right? Nth hyphen child, and you are giving the child, indexing here. We will locate second div element of its parent. So that's why you can definitely move to the nth child element whenever you are creating a CSS selector. What is the different keyboard operation that can be performed in Selenium? The different keyboard operation that can be performed in Selenium are .send key, .press key, .release key. So .send key will be a sequence of character used for passing character sequence to input text box or a web edit element. Press key, non-text keys will be used for keys like control function keys, etc. that are non-text, and .release key, which is non-text keys, used in conjunction with key press event to simulate releasing a key from the keyboard event. How can we find the value of different attributes like name, class, right, SRC, all this stuff? In case the particular field properties I want to get it, right? So definitely we need to use get attribute method, and here we need to pass the attribute name, right? Name, class, tag name, whatever you want to get to know, right? Method. Then we can find the value of different attribute of the element. So we need to use that get attribute methods, and we need to pass the attribute name. How to define the scope of automation testing for a real-time project, right? First, definitely whenever you are going for the automation lifecycle process, also you need to define the scope of the project, right? So scope of automation is the area of your application under test or AUT which will be automated. Following points help determine scope: the features that are important for the business, the features which have large amount of data, common functionality across application, technical feasibility, the extent to which business components are used, the complexity of test case, ability to use the same test case for cross-browser testing. So these are the different points you need to remember while identifying the scope of the testing. What is Cucumber framework? So in my previous video I already let you know the important top 10 framework, like whether Cucumber, Serenity, different framework, right? Selenium framework. So definitely these are the important 3 frameworks. Sometime interviewer used to ask question. Maybe you did not work, but similarly, but you can let them know these are the thing I know all about, right? So from the Cucumber, it is a cross-platform behavior-driven development tool, right? In case you are using any BD framework, definitely you can use Cucumber framework, right? That is used to write acceptance tests for web application. Cucumber is a quick and easy to set up execution and allows reusing code in this test case. It supports multiple languages like Python, PHP, Perl, .NET, Scala, Groovy, etc. automation of functional validation in an easily readable and understandable format. One good feature is that both specification and test documentation are uploaded in a single up-to-date document. Cucumber makes it easy for the business stakeholder who are not familiar with the testing, right? So, as they can easily read the code as test report or written in a business readable language, English, right? The code can be used together with other framework like Selenium, Waitier, Capybara, etc. Right? So why Cucumber is required? Sometimes, suppose in case you are working with any of the framework with the help of project model, only testers who is working, who has having relevant experience, they can understand the concept of the code. But in case it should be generic, right? So the developer, tester, test manager, your business analyst, your client, product owner, scrum master, they need to understand the code concept. So definitely with the normal framework it is not possible. So you need to use the Cucumber framework where your code will be sometimes written in the simple English language so everybody can interact and they provide their value, and definitely code if the framework will be more and more fruitful, right? So that is the importance of BDD framework, Cucumber framework. What is Cypress framework? So nowadays it is also booming in the market, some Cypress framework because of some advantages, right? So Cypress is a developer-centric test automation framework that makes test data-driven development (TDD) approach a reality for the developer. Its design principles was to be able to package and bundle everything together to make the entire end-to-end testing experience pleasant and simple, right? So it is primarily used for the end-to-end testing. Cypress has a different architecture than Selenium. While Selenium WebDriver runs remotely outside the browser, Cypress runs inside of it. The approach helps in understanding everything that happens inside and outside the browser to deliver more consistent results. It does not require user to deal with object serializations or over-the-wire protocols while giving them native access for every object. Cypress can synchronously notify user of every single thing that happens inside the browser as they are pulling their app into it so that they have native access to every DOM element. It also makes it easy to simply drop a debugger into their application, which in turn make it easier to use the developer's tool. So that is the importance of Cypress framework. Especially it is for the end-to-end testings and where like test data-driven development will be used. Approach will be used, right? What is Serenity framework? Serenity framework also nowadays very important where we can use BDD or behavior driven development. In case tester is looking for a Java based framework that integrates with behavior driven development tools such as Cucumber or JVM, Serenity might be the good tool for them. It is designed to make writing automated exception and regression test case easier. It also lets user keep their test scenario at a high levels, which is accommodating lower level implementation details in their report. Serenity acts as a wrapper on the top of Selenium WebDriver and BDD tool. It abstracts away much of the boilerplate code them sometimes need to write to get started, which make writing BDD and Selenium test easier. Right? Serenity also offers plenty of built-in functionality such as handling running tests in parallel, WebDriver management, taking screenshot, managing state between steps, facilitating Jira integration, all without having to write a single line of code. So that is the different important approach available for Serenity, and that is the reason it is used widely nowadays. Okay, so that's 25 questions answer from Selenium concept for today. Thank you.